Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Prime View series of interviews with top business and technology experts. Today, I'm delighted to welcome John Leon, who is Vice President of Partnership at Apiiro. John, thank you so much for making time to join us today. It's a great pleasure to welcome you.
Dana, thank you for having me. Excited to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Likewise. I know that you're traveling. Where are you traveling? Are you in business?
I'm on
If you wouldn't
business
mind
this week.
asking, yeah.
I'm on business travel this week. I happen to be in Detroit, Michigan.
Mhm.
For the Americans that are listening, they'll know it's for the U.S. American football draft that's happening today. We have a big event that we're hosting for customers and prospects this evening. So yes, Detroit, Michigan is where you find me today, Dana.
Awesome. I hope it goes really well for you and your customers. Great. John, you have this incredible career in technology working for high tech companies, right? Maybe you could tell, I believe many of our listeners will find it really interesting and inspiring to learn more about you as a professional and your career steps. If you could give us an overview, what actually led you to your current position at Apiiro?
Oh, it's amazing. Thanks for the question, Dana. I wasn't expecting that one, but happy to share a little bit about my background. Yeah, I've spent 20 plus years in the industry. Interesting enough, I started mostly with big companies, HP and Intel, big companies earlier in my career, learning product management and product marketing and things of that nature. I got really more into the ecosystem type work when I was at VMware, and I was at VMware for about 6 years. And much of what we did at VMware as a platform was integrate with other technologies and the ecosystem and globally, right? Many countries leveraging the VMware platform and technologies, and really developed a passion for that type of work during my stint at VMware. And then I got bit by the startup bug. After VMware, met a couple of founders. I actually met a founder who gave me an opportunity at a company that was back home for me in Portland, Oregon, and enjoyed that. As tough as that opportunity was, right? Learning how to operate in a startup and all the things that go into building a young company, it got into my blood. And so ever since then, I've been really focused on the startup industry, mostly in the DevSecOps world, right? So developer tooling, operations tooling, more recently in the security world. I was a part of a great company called Twistlock, my first Israeli cybersecurity company, amazing team there, and now work at Apiiro, having worked here about 3 years, another amazing journey and loving every minute of it. So thanks for asking that question.
It's usually a fascinating path, right? And
Mhm.
it's, like meeting people from different backgrounds, working for large enterprises, small startups. It's always interesting to know what actually motivates people, what drives them to pursue their careers and in their life. Yeah, so very interesting because the VMware part. I actually joined VMware almost 2 years ago. Right now we
Okay.
are part of Broadcom. Yeah, so it's an exciting journey as well.
A new chapter,
Yeah,
as they say, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a new chapter, a bit different, but yeah, still exciting.
Amazing.
John, application security posture management, right? I'd like to talk about this acronym, right? That is probably a new one coined by Gartner, right? You're working in the application security domain. Tell us more. Why is ASPN so important, and how it is different from what we know, like in the past decades, what's been there to secure applications?
Absolutely, Dana. Yeah. I guess a bit of an origin story, right, which ties into my background. The, there's fantastic automation and tooling, right, as we know in the developer world. I spent some time at GitHub, and our complete focus there was just on making developers more efficient and productive and happy, frankly. And same with operations tooling, right? We've kind of seen Kubernetes and the growth there. I spent some time in an IT automation company focused on deployment of services and resources in a more automated, consistent way. But what I found was, and I think many folks have seen, obviously, is there still is a gate when it comes to application security and the AppSec practitioners and their ability to keep at pace with development and operations teams who can very quickly push code into production, very quickly produce new lines of code and test and deploy. But the poor AppSec teams, right, the security folks are still hampered by manual processes. I need to triage all the findings that I see with vulnerabilities. I need to correlate that back to the open source libraries that are being utilized and the data models and so forth. And I'm doing this, frankly, through spreadsheets. And it was incredible to become aware that some of the most advanced companies in the world are still using manual spreadsheets to track, right, vulnerabilities and risks and so forth. And so it gives you pause. And as I talked with our founder, right, 3 years ago, and he was articulating the problem space, and as wow, okay, this is something that is really, really important. That if we truly are going to see DevSecOps become fulfilled and realized, as we've been talking about as an industry for 10 plus years, then it requires more automation. It requires more ability to enable AppSec practitioners with tooling that helps them communicate with developers, with operations people in a more seamless and efficient way. And to answer your question specifically, this is the promise of ASPM, right? This is why Apiiro was built. It's to really identify and understand what's in the inventory of the application, where's the risk, and how do we prioritize and fix that risk.
So what you're saying about automation and also the taking the pain of the manual kind of mundane task for security engineers, right? That are working probably under huge stress and pressure of I don't know, the beeping of the some notification of some alerts, right? Being able to prioritize, understand where the risk is, and also being able to mitigate it seamlessly. So, and also you're providing, yeah. So, also at the same time, the C-level executives like CISOs, CSOs, they having the team that is taking care of your cloud applications is not necessarily give you the full visibility into the security posture.
100% true. 100% true. A couple points there, if I could, that you brought up.
Sure.
So, one is yes, there's an overtax and overstress of human resources who are trying to solve this problem today. I think the ratio is anywhere from 100 developers to maybe one AppSec practitioner who's trying to keep pace with development, whether it's onshore, offshore. There's constant churn of developers sometimes in the organization, and trying to understand all the code that's being written it's a task that no human by themselves can really process. So hence the automation need and platforms like Apiiro and ASPM that are helping solve this problem. It's also helping becoming an asset to the organization and being able to say yes and being able to help with developer velocity, because at the end of the day, it's about the CISO and CIO's goals leading up to the CEO of driving more code into production, which leads to more revenue or more customer acquisition or all the things the company cares about, right? So this is the way that we can start to say, hey, AppSec, let's help you become more of a velocity driver and an approver and an accelerator of that code by giving you the tools to identify risk at a faster pace, remediate it, and help the organization succeed.
So you are the one facing the customers and actually trying to present and actually the solution. Do you see any challenge in that? Is there maybe like, because the promise is huge, right? So you automate all these processes and you actually don't need more like to increase your AppSec teams, your security engineers, right? You can have all of this in a single pane of glass. What is it that is a challenge for you to communicate the value of the
It's a great
solution?
question. Great question. So what we've seen over the last few years, as software supply chain security, as application security has become paramount in terms of securing the posture of the overall organization, right? The CISO has so many problems on their plate. This is one of many, right, on a list of 10 to 15 things that they have to prioritize. But the importance and relevance of it is undeniable, right? As we talk with customers, and our customers are some of the largest global economy drivers you can think of, right? The Shell, the BlackRocks, the Morgan Stanleys, the companies that are massive in name and in scale, by the way, right? And so we have seen just a prioritization of this need for an ASPM solution, for a solution like Apiiro, to help them make sense. And there's two vectors here. One is to accelerate delivery and deployment, right, of code into production. The other is to gain more efficiencies out of the resources they have. No one is going to hire more people to solve this problem. So as a new tool, right, and we know security doesn't need more tools, it needs more efficiency and so forth. As a new tool, we have to make sure that the investments they've made can be better realized in the tooling they have. This is the promise of Apiiro as an ASPM, is that we're not there to rip out tooling you've spent money on, Mr. or Ms. CISO. We're here to help make it better, right? We're here to help you normalize the things you're seeing across a range of tools. Normalize it, right? Understand it, prioritize it with a holistic view that provides you an understanding of how the risk is correlated throughout the full SDLC. right? Not just a spot solution, but through the full SDLC from design into production and through the pipelines. What does the risk mean? Is it important for you to care about? And where is it in the priority queue? So those are the important things.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the important part here is that you are not there just to add another tool to their stack. It's actually something that is going to, as you mentioned, normalize the entire security tools that are there, right? Provide them with more visibility and automation, not just yet another security tool.
Absolutely. And so there's a large amount of tooling that exists in the enterprise organizations, as you would imagine, Dana, as you know, everything from your cloud security runtime tools, your container security tools, all of your SCA and secrets detection, your API tools, your WAF, so on and so forth. If there's a risk engine, and we think of ourselves as a risk engine, an understanding of risk, not only broadly but also very at depth, very deeply across all of these technologies and normalize. This is a key part of our mission statement to help CISOs in the AppSec organization.
So, John, for ASPM tool to be able to deliver value, the tool has to be able to get the data across the application lifecycle from development, deployment, and operations. And to do so, the tool has to be able to integrate with the third-party vendors. If I understand correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
So what I hear that at Apiiro, you are about to roll out new integration program with the major security vendors. If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea here is that we are a 100% open ASPM platform. And what that means is, from a breadth of technology standpoint, and as I've listed off all the different categories, from container security, cloud, even to CMDB and API runtime security, we're able to interconnect with all of those technologies very openly via API. We've built this program, I believe, at the very right time, in that the last 2 years, we've learned so much from our customers about how they're using the tooling, how they're using the technology. Out of the box today, Dan, I can tell you we have a number of integrations we've built with so many tech partners that we're going to market with. And now we're at a stage where we can productize this, if you will, turn it into a program and open it up to many, many more. Our partner engineering team is top notch. They can build integrations very, very quickly. We're able to scale those into an environment, and we're able to evolve those from a roadmap standpoint with our partners. So we're ready to go to market more broadly. And again, Apiiro Chime is the technology partner program we're announcing. It's an evolution, I like to say, because we came out with a partner program 2 years ago that was really focused on our reseller and referral partners who we love and are doing great work together with. But now we wanted to evolve the technology component of our partner program, and this is what Chime is today.
You mentioned about the time, right? So that the integration can be built really quickly. Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit more? I believe that is a very critical component to many organizations.
It is. And so, again, as you've imagined, over the last 2 years, we've learned a lot, and all those learnings have gone into the program. What we've learned is we have a very easy way of integrating into a customer's environment. Point number one, right? You connect Apiiro into the source control manager, whether they're using GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, and very quickly we could stand up a proof of value POC to showcase inventory, all the data models, security frameworks, libraries, languages, even people. Who are the developers? How active are they as contributors? What languages are they writing in? All of this holistically gives a very, very quick view into a customer's environment. And that's typically done over a couple of hours time to 2 hours to 10 hours, depending on the size of the code base and how many repositories we're connecting to. So my point being, it's very quick to value. Same holds true for the integration side. As we talk with customers to understand their environment, because of our APIs, we're able to interconnect very quickly with new technologies and do the same ingest of findings. No matter what type of SCA or secrets tooling they're utilizing, API gateways that we have today, CI/CD tooling, et cetera. And I think most customers are going to find that we have a lot of it already out of the box in the platform itself. But what we'd like to do is expand that to other technology partners as well, right? We want to have them in the fold as a part of the ASPM category as well. And again, our promise is a strong word. Our commitment to our partners is that we can do this very quickly, right? What we've seen on average is 2 weeks to integrate, up to 6 weeks to 8 weeks to really start to normalize it and realize value and get it listed on our website as a tile, as a proper part of our catalog. So it's anywhere from 2 weeks to half a quarter that we can do this, and I can speak confidently about that given our team back in Tel Aviv.
That's fascinating. Yeah, truly evolutionary solution that you are coming up with. John, you mentioned the extremely reputable customer base that Apiiro can be proud of. Maybe you could share with us some case study where Apiiro was able to identify some threat and successfully address it with its solution.
Absolutely. So while I can't share company names, we have successfully solved use cases across a number of areas for many verticals that we work with, right? Whether it's the financial services industry, consumer packaged goods, oil and gas, technology manufacturing. A lot of the challenges are quite common, right? Some are compliance mandates; they're specific to their vertical, their industry. But there's also a lot of general use cases that are applicable across just about every vertical at the enterprise level. And some of those are just the basic visibility, understanding what I have in the application inventory. The average lifespan for a CISO in their career at a given company is only about a year and a half to 2 years. It's a challenging job. It's a challenging role, right? And so there's a lot of activity. I come in as the new CISO. I need to understand where's the risk in the attack in the code base, in the application inventory. Who can tell me this, right? Or use case number two, I'm a large enterprise and I've just acquired another company and I do this on a regular basis, right? I have M&A activity. Now I've inherited a bunch of developers, right? I have a new development team. I have a new set of engineering resources. What are they working on? What's the code base? How secure is it? How ready is it to be brought into our security posture? And being able to rationalize this and understand this quickly is a common use case that we see in the large enterprise space. With Apiiro, we can come in there and very quickly interconnect into those new technologies that are being onboarded and provide them a very complete risk report. Right? Here are the repos to be concerned about. Here are the libraries and languages being utilized. Here are the development teams and how clean the code is, if you will, how they are as contributors. All of this can be shared with the AppSec organization so they can make better decisions about onboarding this new organization.
Leveraging AI technology has become a big promise for the security domain, and many companies are trying to leverage this still nascent technology to track and remediate the threat, business critical threat to their cloud applications. Can you envision Apiiro leveraging this technology in the future?
Yeah, AI is the active buzzword these days. Absolutely, and so I think that I think Dana, it's interesting. I think I've been in this industry long enough to see a lot of the convergence of technologies and movements over time. But I think what's consistent is uh, the need for security to keep pace with bad actors, with as new technologies come out, new ways to intrude on those technologies and intrude from a security risk standpoint will always come into play. It's almost a game of whack-a-mole, if you will. I think for our sector in ASPM, the evolution is going to incorporate AI, right, elements into the approach. As humans become let's say it this way: as certain coding tasks become more AI generated, right? Things like GitHub Copilot and others are becoming more online and becoming more trusted over time. There's still going to be a need to understand what is in the code base, right? Whether it's human developed or a machine is developing this code over time. Those are new security risks, new security posture elements that have to be accounted for. And I think ASPM is going to be at the tip of that, right? The tip of that spear, trying to address those challenges. So as more AI is utilized to write code, I think it just becomes more paramount in the supply chain. You know, what's being written. We still need to look at it. We still need to put checks and balances in place. And human developers are going to be here. At least in my lifetime, I believe that that's not going anywhere. We need people to write code. It's going to be a big part of our industry for the future. But the promise is there, right, for AI, and we'll see how that evolves. But I think again, ASPM is the tip of the spear on solving these problems.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I've checked with the Gartner report, and they, on ASPM, and the report says that by 2026, over 40% of enterprises will have some level of spending on ASPM, right? So the industry is growing. I can see there are a lot of players in your domain, right? So what would you recommend to companies, to enterprises that are still kind of hesitating whether it's worth investing in this type of tools or platforms? What would be your take on that?
I think there's a couple things there, Dana. I think one is because code is modern application development, while fascinating, fantastic, faster in terms of being able to build and deploy. It's quite complex as well. A microservice architecture requires a lot of technologies. You have code that's quite ephemeral as it's being deployed from development into production. This is the promise of cloud in terms of finding the right resources, underlying infrastructure. Trying to fence that back in the old days was what we used to do, right? But you can't fence any longer. And so I think this is just it's a ASPM is a requirement now in terms of being able to understand how to address the security posture of code as it's deployed in containers, as it's deployed into the cloud. It's paramount to understand where the risk is early in the development cycle, because if you can attack it and find it earlier in the design phase as an organization before it goes into production, you mitigate the security risks that will occur with that line of code as it goes into production. Those are important things. Much easier to fix a problem before in the earlier phases than once it's at scale in production. And all that equates to money and time, right? And staying off the front page of the newspaper. And so these are the important aspects for organizations that are thinking about whether ASPM is the right fit. I think also it's getting more value out of the tooling you've already invested into. There's massive amounts of money that have been spent on so much tooling that exists. And we understand it's very difficult for an enterprise organization to pivot or change course, right? Once those technologies have been deployed. So it's very critical for an ASPM, and Apiiro does an amazing job of this as we articulate value and showcase the ROI, is that when we deploy, we make those technologies even better. And what I mean by that is we take the incredible findings they provide and provide that normalization, that prioritization, that remediation, which we haven't talked about a whole lot yet, Dana, but the remediation piece of correlating that finding, whether it came from your SCA or your secrets tool or your API runtime security solution, and correlating back to the developer that wrote that line of code, is a massive, massive challenge today in the industry. And be able to do that, which is what Apiiro does, reduces the MTTR, the mean time to repair, keeps the velocity high, keeps us moving in production. And it's that correlation piece to remediation back to the code owner that's so important. And it's provides massive value to the enterprises that are utilizing ASPM and Apiiro specifically today.
Yeah, that's a great promise, as you said, and the being able to actually extract more value from the existing tools that the companies have already invested into is actually even a higher value, right, to Apiiro's tool. John,
Absolutely.
this is a great note to end on. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have a busy day ahead of you. I really enjoyed our conversation and really looking forward to having you back to the Prime U sometime soon.
Dana, thank you for your kindness, for the invite, and I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.